Scrappy friends. Happy Friday or Saturday, wherever you are. It's probably Saturday because it's almost Saturday here. So happy Saturday. I have another layout for you today, and I am just warning you at the beginning that I am going to completely switch this up about halfway through my layout. I have that background that I had made with just ink splatters and my mists, and I put them on the plastic bag and then put them on, and then I decided, I'll use some black ink and some color shine. And the thing about the color shine here in Hawaii that I have found that I'm not a big fan of is sometimes on gesso it takes forever for it to dry. And that's not very nice when you're trying to do a layout and you put that down before you put your layers down, because it just takes so long to dry. So I was making a mess, and for whatever reason, I just didn't like the way that this is coming out. There's nothing wrong with it. And as you can see, I'm picking through. And I decided to leave this in because you still get to see this process of me picking out my papers and me kind of thinking about the colors that I want to use and how they can all work together. I have that Dear Lizzie paper that has almost like a check or whatever with all the different colors, and I love that paper. It's like one of my favorites. And so I want to use that for a layer, and I have this pink paisley paper from the Citrus Bliss, and I think that that goes really well with some of the pinks in the Dear Lizzie collection. So pretty much I'm using the Dear Lizzie, and I'm using a little bit of that Citrus Bliss. So at first I'm thinking, hey, I'll use some corner, some triangles, and kind of make this like long block that's kind of open. So it'll feel really nice and open. I mean, I don't mind the way that this part turned out. It's a little messy for me, which is funny. And I think it's funny that I think it's messy because I love mixed media and I have no problem adding paint, adding watercolor. Just for what I've been doing, I try to do a lot more calculated. And this is, you just stick it on the bag, you get the color wet, and see, I'm checking to see if these are wet, and they're still wet at this point. So I kind of dab them a little to help. It doesn't help all the way, but enough that I can kind of get my layers on there a little. But anyway, so for me, it just felt hard. Like, it just felt like it didn't have a complete focus or something, even though I had this, in mind of, with this photo, it's a picture of my daughter last year. Maybe around this time last year. Yeah. It was like right at the beginning of the summer. We dyed her hair bleach blonde. We told her when we cut her hair last Christmas time. So not this Christmas that we just had, but the year before that. We shaved my daughter's head because her hair was falling out from her chemo. And so we told her that when her hair started growing back and it got to a certain, long enough to maybe style it a little or something, we would dye her hair if she wanted, because she's in love with Elsa, like so many other girls, her age. So, and, this whole thing of going through cancer and chemo, and you just kind of learn or realize that life is short, and there's certain things that you just have to make fun for your kids. And it being such a I say horrible. She only remembers a little bit of what her life was like before chemo. So in a lot of ways, this is very normal to her. It's nothing new. And so, but as an adult, you're like, I want my kids to have this normal life. And so anything to make things more fun and switch it up for her. I really try to, within reason, because, you know, she will be done with chemo, and I still don't want her to think that just because she had chemo, the world revolves around her. But I thought that this was the perfect time, you know, and the thing to, you know, do to brighten up her spirits. You know, that winter had been a really rough winter, into a spring that kind of was rough. So we were just starting to come into this, you know, getting in the routine of being just it being a normal chemo schedule, getting into a routine chemo schedule. And so it really did brighten her up. Oh my gosh, she loved having it that color. And we had to do it twice because her hair was dark and had come in a lot darker. And so we had to do it twice for it to like really take, because that first time it was very, very orange. You could definitely tell that she has Irish in her and turning red just like my hair does. So, but, and even after we did the 2 boxes, and I didn't go to a salon and have them do it because I wasn't going to pay to have a salon, you know, do her hair. But she probably even then could have had it done another time. But and I asked her if she wanted to, and she told me she didn't want to sit through it again. And she actually hasn't had her hair dyed again since then. She was like, no, I've asked her if she wanted to do it, and she's like, no, Mommy, I don't. And so now at this point, we're at where it's almost all grown out. I can't believe it. Either a lot of her hair has fallen out that she had before that had it, or, you know, or it's near the ends. So it's really hard to tell that she actually ever had her hair dyed that color, but I loved it. It just added just such an attitude to her, and this, you know, sense that it just made life really fun, you know, for us that summer. So I'm looking through embellishments after I put this title down, and I just don't like the way where that Elsa is. I just didn't like how there was a lot of open space. So at this point, I'm trying to fill in the space with some of the ephemera pieces from the Dear Lizzie because it matches with the papers. And as you can see, as I was talking, I added quite a few more papers. And so I really liked the idea of having the purples in with the pinks, because that's what I used on the background. I used the purple and pink and then the black, the darker color, which, I mean, like I said, it looks good, and I'm going to keep that background, just maybe figure out some other way to use it. So, and in a little while, you're going to see it switch to a whole new background, which I had done another time, because that's one thing I do, is sometimes I will just make a background, or sometimes if I make a background and I tear something off, I will still save that old background to use for another layout, because sometimes it doesn't work for one thing, but then later on you sit on it, you take time and you make other layouts, you just realize that it just works for something else. For whatever reason, it just wasn't flowing, and I wanted it to, because the colors would have been perfect with those papers. I just didn't, maybe it was the way that the layers came together. I just felt like maybe they were too chunky. I really like to try to keep my layers really close to the photos and have a little bit less paper showing, even though I like to use lots of paper, to keep it a little bit cleaner. So I think maybe that was part of it, and it was kind of hard to find the ephemera pieces that I thought matched. So here I'm just sticking the last few donuts, and I cut them in half so that you can't tell they're donuts, and they just look like a round circle. I found that for me, there's not too many times that I think I have photos of donuts for us. And then I had some of these bows, and I really wanted to use a bow because I don't use bows very often, and I love bows. They're so pretty, but I just couldn't get it to work on this one, but I do end up with a bow on the other one. So I was happy about that because I really wanted to use that. So here we are with this whole other background that is a slightly different color than before. but mixed media. So this one I had done, actually I did this for the video response for Adele for Inky Quill. And I started it and I didn't like it for that layout. It was just not working. But I saved it because I thought, well, you know, I made this really cool, background and I could probably use it again. So I use copper paint with the mint paint. So it's I use stencil with acrylic paint, and then I use my paintbrush and I just drew the outline with my paintbrush, and then I went in with some of the gold, and then I watered down that, or I should say gold. It's not really gold, it's copper color. And I really like this copper color. It matches the color in the Dear Lizzie line really well, so it actually ended up going really well. And the pinks and that mint green look good, and the purples even match pretty well, and I was surprised about that because that was the one thing I wasn't sure is if I was going to get through part of this and then realize I didn't like the way that those purples, because I still wanted to keep these layers. And as you can see, I kept a lot of the same papers and I just cut them down a little bit more, and I added a couple others just to add a little interest. As you can see, I decided to cut this one up from Pink Paisley, and this one has triangles, but it almost reads as a neutral because the triangles are pretty small. Or actually, I think they're more like diamonds. Yeah, they're all different colors. So, but they're fun, and so I really want to use this because I think it's going to tie in that mint green into my layers, because at this point you don't see much of that color because it's kind of hidden behind my photos. But that is a really, really busy pattern. And as much as I love the flower part of it, I had to work at it to get it to fit to where I thought it was enough to show the color, but not too much. And I thought about using that Market Street paper because I love that. But I thought that the black would be a little bit too much, because even though there is in that purple dotted paper has a dark color, it's a blue and it's not black, and I just thought it would just be a little too heavy. So here I realized, yes, just a little sliver is going to be what it takes to make it sound amazing, make it look amazing. And I love the way this turned out a lot better. It looks a lot cleaner because everything is tucked in a little bit more, and then I just kind of played out from there. And so I'm gonna still use these stickers. There's one that says today, and the yes is underneath the camera, and I kept a lot of that stuff the same just because in the original I liked where it was placed. I liked some stuff. I thought the glasses looked kind of fun, as a fun way of like seeing her hair transform. And I really love those meringue thickers, and those pink ones are Dear Lizzie thickers. They're older. I bought them last year, and they probably were old when I bought them. So I want to use some of this ephemera because the colors are very similar. And then I found this pink, red, and yellow, and she has yellow in her shirt, and so I thought it kind of tied in. And in the Dear Liz, or the Pink Paisley collection, has a little bit of yellow, and so I thought that maybe that could make the shirt not look so crazy because it's not in there at all. So now it's more like a rainbow colored layout and not just a pink and mint. So I have some other die cuts, and I'm really looking for stars because I have an I am star over on the side, and I was thinking that I could maybe add some stars, and I knew I had some really tiny hearts, but here's where I decide to add that bow, and I kind of had to weigh it down a little just because the glue was not wanting to sit all the way. And I did add a pop de hat in the middle, but I added the glue on the end, on the sides of the bow. So now I'm just adding some hearts, and I thought that black and white, it's glasses paper from Open Book, though it's really hard to tell, but I thought the black and white really was a nice centerpiece for that middle of that camera. And with the glasses, it kind of helped tie in more that glass theme. So here I'm adding a copper heart key. I just thought that that looked really cute layered in there. And that adds enough interest in that little corner, in that open space in between Elsa and the picture. So, and here I'm just adding some, oh yeah, some wood button things. I love these wood dots. They're really fun. So I just added a pink and a white. And I know I have another pack somewhere, but I wasn't going to go look for them. So I just decided to add some purple enamel dots, and then I'm going to add some of the Dear Lizzie enamel dots. So, and I think I add some My Mind's Eye because they have some off-white, and I thought that that would look really nice. So it really helps tie everything in together, and it almost looks more like paint drops, but it, because of all the copper paint drops, it really looks, I really like the way it turned out. So I'm glad I switched out the background because I'm so much happier with it this way. So guys, thank you for joining me and watching me tear up a layout and redo it, because why not, right? If you don't like it, you might as well make it what you're going to love, because in the end, you're going to be looking through this, and if you don't like it, you're going to see it when you go and do that. So I hope you guys are inspired to make a layout, and have a great weekend. I'll talk to you later. Bye.